All right, gang, check. Check, 1, 2, check. Check, 1, 2. All right, gang, we are live. We are back here on the Soapbox. This is episode, I think, 11 or 12, which is pretty awesome. And I'm actually in a hotel traveling around for a CrossFit Level 2 seminar. It was a super busy week, so I didn't get to record in the normal abode, but I wanted to bring my stuff along with me and chat about some stuff. So last podcast we had, I was with Paul Tremblay. We had a lot of good feedback on just barrier to entry, that type of stuff. So I really appreciate that on barrier to entry to a CrossFit affiliate. This week, I'd like to switch gears a little bit and talk nutrition. Nutrition it's a topic that most people don't like to talk about because it's kind of like religion and politics. It brings up so much emotion, and it's really what I want to kind of talk about. A little backstory on me and my life when it comes to nutrition. When I found CrossFit, I found CrossFit Journal issue 21, and with that, I read the article which explains the zone, and then from there I followed the zone to a T. I weighed and measured the food that I was just naturally eating, sandwiches, so on and so forth. That changed my life. It was unbelievable. My relationship with food changed so much after that, and I quickly learned about quality of food because I could eat more of it. So when I was zoning, just normal food that I was eating, I learned that, okay, well, favorable and unfavorable carbohydrates. And as it was written in the CrossFit Journal issue 21, at the time it was super simple. It's like, all right, you have bread, right? A half a slice of bread is a block of carbohydrates. So if I have a sandwich, that's 4 blocks of carbohydrates. Well, why don't I just get rid of the bread and eat more fruits and vegetables and other things because I want to eat more food. And that was my natural progression essentially into, you could consider it paleo. I would almost consider it more like whole natural foods, like we talk about at level 1, meats and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, and no sugar. And the reason why it's not, I don't know if I actually ever truly prescribed to the paleo diet. But the paleo diet, omission of grains, dairy, and legumes, and very, very restrictive, depending on the practitioner that you're learning from. But the reality is whole natural foods, naturally occurring, absolutely. Having less processed and refined carbohydrates, check. And that really did change my life. And I weighed and measured my food for about 5 years straight, never cheating. And for those of you that were around me at that time know that. And it changed my life. And I recommend everyone to do the zone because of my experience. And I know that seems like, what does that mean? Well, I learned about food. I learned about a relationship with food. I understood macronutrients better, protein, carbohydrates, and fats. I learned how to turn my body into a laboratory. It was super easy because it was a block system and it wasn't super complex. It wasn't super minute in the details and into what some of the stuff we're seeing nowadays. Now, I'm not saying the zone is the diet that works for everybody. I'm just saying it taught me something, and I now use it, and I use that base knowledge for everything that I do from a nutritional perspective. Can you go through that learning process without it? Of course, but coming from someone like myself who really had no scope or understanding, but a goal, it really helped me. So I definitely recommend it if you want to start to learn and go down that journey. But is it hard? Yeah, well, CrossFit's hard, and we still do it because we know that hard work gets results. So yeah, you got to do a little more than nothing, but I don't think that's an excuse. And if we're looking for that type of, hey, like I don't want to work hard, but I want to see results. I understand nutrition is different than fitness, but at some level, it's like, all right, well, if you want to do 20% of what would be 100% effective, you're going to get 20% of the results, which means that you won't get as much results and you won't get there as faster, which is okay as long as you're aware of that, but just be aware of that, right? Variance, functionality, and intensity isn't variance, functionality, and low intensity, it's high intensity. And that intensity gets results. So if you go at low or moderate intensity, you'll get low or moderate results. No different with nutrition. So with that said, what I don't want to talk about is preach about a type of diet. what I want to talk about is, I think, a problem, an infestation that we have in the nutritional world nowadays. And I think it's a narrative that it's upsetting, because I don't think anyone wants to do it. I just think it's how people think it should be done. I don't think at the heart people have malintent. I think people have care, and I've talked about this a lot. So what I mean by that is, all right, when someone is talking about a nutritional regimen or a type of way to eat or whatever it might be, what has been creeping into a lot of presentations, creeping into a lot of narrative out there is, eat this way because the other ways are stupid. Eat in my way because the other way will kill the environment, will, kill you, whatever it might be. So my way, or whatever way I'm talking about, I'm not going to talk about the health benefits. I'm going to talk about the negative effects of the other ways. So essentially vilifying other types of foods, nutritional programs, diets, what have you, over highlighting the benefits of whatever style of nutrition we're talking about. And I really think this is a problem, because I don't think we should be doing that type of stuff. So for example, right, take the vegetarian or vegan world, because it's a world that I think is very interesting. I'm not a vegetarian or vegan. I have a lot of friends that are. I know a lot of people that are. I know a lot of people that were vegetarian for 20, 30 years and have changed. And I've spoken to some of the most educated people in the world, which is not me, on this topic. And it's interesting because, putting everything aside, I do notice that a lot of the, why do I eat this way? Well, and unfortunately, I've heard this, I've seen it. It's like, well, I don't eat meat, or I'm a vegan because of what meat does to you, or what these other things. It's very negative based, as opposed to what I would really love to hear from specifically that community, but others, is what are the benefits of a plant-based diet? That's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear the negatives of other diets. I want to hear the benefits of that diet, which I know there are benefits, and there are also shortcomings. And let's not also, guys, there's no perfect fit, right? The fact that we think that one size fits all and everyone should do something is ridiculous. So there's always pros and cons, but it's got to work for you, right? So the narrative that I want changing, guys, this can be a simple concept in a simple episode, is, all right, well, what are the benefits of eating a plant-based diet? The micronutrient content, the fiber, the rare foods, whatever it might be, what it can do for gut health, whatever. I want to hear it. I want to see it. That's what I want to know. So if we're like, hey guys, I want to bring awareness about this type of nutrition program because I'm passionate about it. I like it. It's something that I enjoy. Great. Tell me what's good about it. What I would rather not hear is what's negative. And so then I did some self-reflection, talking to a few people. It's like, all right, well, how am I negative about other things? And I think that, okay, all right, special interest groups, right? Well, any special interest group has a special interest in whatever they have a special interest in, and therefore relatively biased. If you think that you're right, right? So the good thing is I was like, all right, well, I think I vilified sugar. For sure. I vilified processed sugar. It's not good for you. We should stay away from it. But what's funny, so I was like, you're right. I have done that. That's the one thing I have. So I guess my thought process is, does that unify across almost all rational nutrition programs? And what I mean by that is, from veganism to vegetarianism to the raw meat diet, which I guess would be the other end of the spectrum, which I know nothing about, and I'm not sure many people do, to the Paleolithic diet, to zoning, to intermittent fasting, to the ketogenic diet, to anabolic fasting, to Renaissance periodization. Blah, 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 blah. We go this forever. I pretty much across the board that is one thing everyone agrees on. Sugar is something we should stay away from. It's not that we want you to never have cake or enjoy things. We just realize it's a treat. It is something it tastes really good, and it's something that we know we shouldn't be. It's not really necessary for survival. We know that it adds really no nutrient value other than the empty calories that it provides, but it tastes great, and there's nothing wrong with that, other than the fact that unfortunately it's laden within a lot of processed foods, and it's masked within a lot of processed foods and foods that are not naturally occurring. So that's something we need to be mindful of. So I think that, and again, let's just pause there for a second too, like food that's naturally occurring. So like, all right, well, you have plants and vegetables and fruits and nuts and seeds and meats and all these things. And all of the nutritional programs out there, I really do think, all right, what do we agree on? Whole, unprocessed food, whole foods. So yeah, all right, you don't want to eat meat? All right, well, we know the challenge is going to be associated there. You don't want to eat vegetables? We know this the challenges associated there. But when it's all said and done, we're all really trying to fight the same fight. We want to put healthy fuel into our body. Now, if you have a religious or if you have a moral value when it comes to something, there's nothing wrong with that. Just there's a little different purpose behind that, and it's not as much nutritional. I can't speak to that too much because that's not something I understand, quite frankly, too well. It's not something I'm involved with, but there's nothing wrong with that, because it allows it to work for you in your lifestyle, right? But it's just another variable to weigh when you're weighing your nutritional regimens. I do caution, and here's my caution on any of this stuff, because I've tried a lot of stuff, guys. I really enjoy intermittent fasting now. I've done I have never really truly done the ketogenic diet, but I understand it. Like I said, I've eaten very clean for a long time. I've weighed and measured my food in different ways, shapes, or forms. But we need to be mindful of data that we see and studies that we see. The effects of cultivating on farmland, on things like that, like the effects on the environment, the effects on this or that, because and I tell you, I don't know, here's the deal, I don't know the answer, because it's so overwhelming, the amount of information out there, the amount of, I can read something and be like, wow, this is amazing. I can watch a documentary on Netflix or whatever and be like, wow, this is 100% the way I need to live my life. I need to change everything. There's that new movie out, James Cameron directed, that I haven't even seen yet, but I'm sure it's invigorating, no different than all the other movies and out there that you can sugar coated and all these other things. You're like, wow, you kind of go into this existential debate, and I think that we just need to really look at where the studies are coming from and what is the study. Read it, because when you read studies, you're like, and you have to nerd out on it. If you're really going to go to the bank on this stuff, I don't know what you guys are reading. It's up to you guys, but really question everything you're reading, because correlation is not causation. Okay, correlation is not causation, which means we can't say if this then that if it's a correlate. And being able to derive causation is something that is very difficult to do. We can take best practices and learn and understand that stuff. But I just wanted to get this off my chest, keep this episode relatively short. But guys, let's stop bringing down other types of nutrition. Just lead with the positive. Hey guys, I want you to learn about this style of eating. I like it. I eat this way, and these are the benefits that I see. Cool. Awesome. And I'm not talking bad about any other nutritional regimen. I'm just talking about this. Or it doesn't have to be negative about other things. And it can be a simple conversation that way, that, aren't we all trying to be healthier people? Yeah, cool. Then let's stop fighting about it. Now, the proof is also in the pudding. Let's get real, right? Like, I'm around a lot of people that are relatively fit, and I see a lot of common denominators. And when I be fit, and here's the thing, efficacy matters. I have the opportunity to be around some of the fittest people in the world, And we're not talking the CrossFit Games athletes, because I'm friends with those guys, but I'm talking, just people that have been doing CrossFit for a decade. And I know what they can physically do. I also know their health markers. I also know how they've handled, surgeries and injuries and setbacks. And honestly, across the board, they all eat relatively the same. They really do. They've tried different things. Their story, if they sat in front of this mic, probably similar. And wherever they're at, most all of them eat meats and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar. They've weighed and measured their food in some way, shape, or form. They're aware of how much food they put into their body. They're clear that they want that clean, whole foods, but they eat a spectrum of proteins. They eat, nice, different spectrum of vegetables and eat good, healthy fats. And they eat the right amounts. And honestly, those are the people that are the healthiest that I know. Their blood work is wonderful, and they get it tested because they're maniacs. It works. And the people that I respect the most that are within the nutritional field also have challenged and continually learn. I always go back to Eva Clara Stankowski. I've had her on my YouTube vlog, and it just, the 800 gram challenge is the most all-inclusive nutrition thing you could ever have, because it's, hey guys, eat 800 grams of fruits and vegetables a day. And then from there, fill in the gaps. The rest is up to you. And it's really cool because that's a really simple, low-hanging fruit, but it's very inclusive to every single human in the world. Yet, because there's a lot of benefits to eating that type of stuff. And she talks about those benefits, and it's pretty cool stuff. So notice how it's not an omission diet. It's an inclusive diet. And again, in a world where I think people are too sensitive, they're too emotional, they take things too seriously, and they jump to conclusions too much about what works, be mindful of this stuff. But this notion of be inclusive, I get it, but let's actually be clear of is your want for inclusivity actually being exclusive, which is inappropriate. We want to make people healthier. We want to make people better. How do we do that? Be positive. Highlight things. Let's not vilify. Let's not put in a corner. Let's keep it super simple. And just because you do something does not mean it's okay for other people. But you can talk about your experiences, what you liked and what you didn't like. And if you are convicted for some reason to something 100% solely and not willing to look at something else, then usually your viewpoint is flawed. Right? Just be aware of that. Hey, I'm 100% invested in this because of this reason, and that's okay. That's fine. Just be careful of pushing that on others. If that's your reasoning, there's nothing wrong with that, but we might not want to let that sort of overlay on others there. So, again, some nutrition stuff. Hopefully this stuff help you guys, but let's just help our people out, right? Caloric restriction works. Eat less. Eat the right amount of foods, and you're gonna live long and happy. Gosh, I love intermittent fasting. I've been doing it, and it's and I've loosened up the reins. I haven't been so maniacal about it, but yeah, most of the time I'm fasting for 16 hours, eating for 8. My energy is phenomenal. It works for me. It doesn't work for everyone, but I finally found that vibe, and I'm really enjoying it. So weekends are a little different than during the week, but I really enjoy it, and but that's where I'm at right now in my nutritional journey. Hopefully you guys can share some of your thoughts, concerns, comments. Hit me up. I'll have this posted up on YouTube as well. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next episode.